A water spot on my shirt. Espresso. Hey, good morning. Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Whoop, whoop. Sunday. You made it through the week. You did a good thing. I'm noticing I have like water spots on my shirt. I hate that. I have this pet peeve. Like, if I ever really like a t-shirt, somehow, some way, I get this. Okay, I'm accident prone. So here's the thing. I spill things, like, on the regular. Like, I could drink something and it's like I have a hole in my mouth. I will spill something in front of you, and you'll be like, "Shinova, do I need to get you a zippy cup?" I spill coffee on myself, like, on a daily. Like, it is what it is. It is what it is. But, like, if I'll get, like, weird spots, especially in the sewing room. Like, I don't know about you, but, like, sewing aid, sewing lube, the machine oil, that if you get it on your shirt, if you don't immediately remove it, it becomes like this weird water spot or oil spot on your shirt, and it is what it is. I have so many t-shirts that are just destroyed. Good morning. I have my coffee ready too. I made my coffee. I have honey on the bottom. I have like this is 2 cups of espresso, and then I made it into a latte. I made it in 5 minutes. I feel like that's like my personal best. I'm not gonna even lie to you. And I was texting while I was doing it. So like, and I sprinkled some pumpkin spice on the top to give me my fall vibes. I am ready for fall like nobody's business. No one has any. I am here for fall. I am here for spooky season. I am just here for fall. So like last night before I went to bed, I was looking up to see like one of my favorite TV shows are coming back on, like Bob's Burger. I don't know how many of you guys watch Abbott Elementary. If you have not watched Abbott's Elementary, it has 4 seasons. It's a very clean cut brought like TV show, and if you've ever watched The Office or Parks and Recreations, it's or Modern Family, it's kind of filmed like that. It's a mockumentary. It has won many, many, many awards. It is a very good TV show. It's based around an elementary school, and that's in Philadelphia, that is low funded, and teachers doing the most to help teach their kids. And there is like a will there, won't there relationship, but it's not just about like that. It's about like just teachers teaching and like a really funny principal, students. It's a really good show. So if you haven't watched Abbott's Elementary, I highly recommend you to do it. If you have Hulu or like Disney, the Disney Plus, you can watch it. They're very short, like they're like 20, 25 minute episodes. You can like smash through it in a weekend, and the new episode starts on October 1st. No, I don't work for Disney or Hulu. I'm just saying it's a really good, clean TV show. If you're looking for a TV show to watch with your family, it is a very good TV show, and it's super clean. So there's nothing like no curse words. Like if they do have a playful curse word, they bleep it out, I believe, but it's very clean. Like it's on like at 8 o'clock in the evening on a public channel. So that's coming back on October 1st. Me and my youngest daughter, we watch it like religiously. Like we get so upset when it has its last episode, like in May, because it's such a good TV show. So I was going through trying to see where my favorite TV shows come out. Like I said, I'm not big on reality TV, so I'm looking for Abbott Elementary. I'm looking for Bob's Burgers, The Simpsons. Yes, I still watch The Simpsons, and I'm not the only one. It's the longest running TV show in the world for a reason, because people watch it. So I'm like here for the fall vibes, and then I don't know. I'm just wait. I'm here for September 1st, but I want next week to go by like slow-ish because I cannot wait for Wizardly. Like I started pre-packing all my travel stuff in my bag yesterday. Um I got a cool package. Melissa sent me this extravagant without showing my address. She sent me this box, right? And it had like my package for the class that I'm teaching at Wizardly. She sent it so nice. I wish I could show you, but like the cutout and the package of like I'm teaching the mini Magda. I already told you guys that. But the materials I got to pick out like the vinyls and everything, like the zipper tape, the hardware color. When it came in, I squealed like I was like opening up a Christmas present and I was 5 years old. Holy, I cannot believe my vinyl. Okay, okay, let's go back. We all know, looking at my shirt, looking at behind me, when you're looking at Bob's Burgers, you can see like Yoda somewhere in the trees over there. You can see Supernatural. Like, I'm a nerd. I'm okay with it. It's cool. I love being a nerd. I'm never gonna not be a nerd. But I got to pick some non-nerdy fabric for Wizardly Stitchery, and it is a hit. It is absolutely stunning. My fabric I picked out, I am super thrilled because and a lot of people don't understand, I like floral prints too, but they have to be a color scheme that I like. And when I picked this color scheme, I know many people would have probably been hesitant off of the colors, but it is absolutely phenomenally gorgeous. So when I got to actually hold the fabric that I picked out, the color prints, and put the actual bag together, I like I gave myself a high five. And normally I'm not this cocky. Listen, I'm not cocky. I'm usually a very humble person and I usually second guess myself. But like I gave myself a high five because I was so proud of this. Like I feel like anybody that makes this bag will love to make it in this print because it is so it's extra without being extra. It's a very fun thing. So I'm really excited to sew this and teach people how to make this mini Magda and how to make a really good circular pattern. And then the hardware, the fabric, everything comes together really fine. And it was my first time using Geeky Fuse Light and Geeky Fuse Heavy. Holy hell, that stuff fuses so fast. I was just using whoop, my HTV. I had this sucker for like 3 years. My X-Tool heat press. I have this. I like this because when I'm doing interfacing at the table, and let's say something lifts up, this heats up a little bit faster than my mini iron. I know this sounds weird. This heats up differently because this is meant for like t-shirts and hats. It heats up a little bit differently. There's just three function and there is no temperature gauge. Okay. It's just there's three lights. So I put this on the highest temperature. I went bam, bam, bam. And this thing heated up like 10 seconds in each spots. I was like, holy moly. So I'm putting this on the Geeky Fuse Heavy and the Geeky Fuse Light. I might have to buy some and then maybe show you guys how fast they fused up. I'm really weird with interfacing, kind of like I am with hardware. I don't really go outside of my box to buy and venture out of the vendors that I buy from. I I like what I like and I get what I get. I stick to what I stick to. So it's really hard when people are like, "Have you bought from this person?" I'm like, "No." And it's nothing against that person. It's just like when I find a person and I buy somebody from someone, it's just I only buy from someone. Like everyone knows I buy from Emmeline Bag, but Emmeline Bag's been around for absolutely ever. So of course I buy from them. Everybody knows I buy from Wizardly Stitchery. They've been around freaking forever. Everybody knows I buy for Lauren. She's been around from absolutely ever. Like Alchemats has been around forever. Like it's really hard for me to divert from the people that I buy from because they've been around forever. And that's why you hear me talking about like Stitch Supply Co. or um Sally Tomato because they've been around for freaking ever. So it's like hard for me to divert from the people that I shop with because they've been around forever. So Sweetness, again, been around forever. So when someone's like, this person's new, have you tried them out? I'm like, no. So, but so I've never actually, when I buy stuff from Wizardly Stitchery, it's always like their fairy floss, like when they have the variegated the thread, because to me, like, I'm trying to show you like I use this for all my Tim Burton ones. So like I'm about to make a Nevermore and it's going to be this. There's no one else that's going to give you this. This is like my second spool. And this is the 80 weight thread one, right? So I stick to that. And I also buy hardware. They have unique hardware, like they have glow in the dark hardware. They have a lot of Harry Potter stuff. A lot of my Harry Potter pools came from Wizardly Stitchery. I buy stuff from them like that. And then occasionally she throws in unusual vinyl, and then I'll buy things from her from like that. She is one of the original people because before hardware companies came out, there was somebody that was the first person that came out with nerdy hardware. When she got promoted from her job, she was selling her company and Melissa bought it. So when Melissa bought it, I started following Wizardly Stitchery. Where I get my supernatural pulls and my Doctor Who pulls is from Melissa. So who is Wizardly Stitchery. So it was super cool that the person that I bought my first nerdy hardware from, I now get to teach at her retreats. And she is the kindest person ever. So yes, I got the kit yesterday. I couldn't wait to sew it up. I got the kit like at 2 o'clock. I snapped pictures to her like at 2:30. Like I finished my kit and she was like, okay, Shinobu, wow, you're fast. I was like, I couldn't hold on to it because I wanted to make it so that way when I show the people at Wizardry Stitchery a finished bag, they have a tangible item to like pass around in the class to see what the finished bag looks like. But the materials were really beautiful, and when I come back, I will show you the finished product because I don't want to show you now and ruin it for the people at Wizardly. That's part of the surprise and sort of part of the fun is to see the materials that you're going to get because they're exclusive to Wizardly Stitchery. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm like 6 days to it. So, yeah, that's what I did yesterday. Also, I got to work with Patreon. We actually sewed up the Lucky Penny wallet, and this is a cutie patootie, guys. So we did it exactly how the pattern says. I did give some really fun tips and tricks and like a different modification than my friend gave me. After making it and looking at it, I gave like a on the fly modifications. And this is part of like my Patreon peeps know that sometimes when I make something and if something doesn't make sense, I might just blurt out a modification, and I did. And I now want to make this with the modification I talked about, and I think it'll be a total game changer. Like, but without having the modification, I think this is the cutest little wallet. This faux leather came from Sam's Creation. This faux leather freaks me out. Not in a bad way. It just has the texture of a snake. Like, if this didn't came off a roll, you would think this is real leather. I'm not going to lie to you. It has so much texture. Like, and the print never matches, ever. Like, I try so it's very unusual. So yesterday we learned how to put in a turn lock. I explained to them that Emmeline Bags has a really cool template where it's called the small turn lock template that you can buy a template for, and it can show you how it's so hard to do this. It can show you, hold on. Oh, no, okay. Of course you have nothing solid. it can show, no, okay. On this template, it can show you, it's kind of hard to see from here to here. It can show you exactly where to cut out, draw and trace to cut out to make a perfect cutout for this. I think these templates are gold. Like they are like $8 to $10, but for me, I think they make the most sense because you're not using the back of the, normally we use the back of the turn lock as our template. This actually gives you the whole complete template where you're not having to cut out more, and more. So I think this is the cutest thing. So when you open it up, you have this, you have two cash pockets. We did a weird modification because something didn't make sense about the cash pockets that wasn't in the pattern. Well, normally in this level, so the way my Patreon works is this. There's 4 levels. We have the way we have the bobbin, the seam rippers. Hold on, I'm sorry, we have the thimbles, the bobbins, the thimbles, the seam rippers, the bobbins, and the rotary cutters. They're all different levels. So for all levels, they get a level up class where I teach a different function, whether it will be like a hands-on, like teaching how to modify or upgrade your bag in a level, or it might be something as simple as like, oh, if you sell your bag, you can do XYZ or whatever. It's a different level of class each time, or it might be a cool modification that you could add to any kind of bag. And then they also get an interview. I do an interview each month with a person about different things, whether it's how to organize your hardware, on paper, or how to work behind the scenes with Hollywood with bag making, or talking about how to stay authentic in the sewing world and stay true to who you are and not like become a carbon copy of someone else. Different things, and how to stay true to, just different interviews in the sewing world. Everybody gets that. The thimbles get that as well. Then we have the seam rippers, bobbins, and the rotary cutters. They get to do a sew along with me. The sew along we're doing right now is the Evie from Ora Rosa. So everyone gets that. Then the bobbins, and then the bobbins and the rotary cutters get a cutout video where they can cut out with me. And if we have a modification, they get to also cut out the modification with me. Then the seam rippers get the rotary cutters get one additional thing. We get to cut out an accessory, and we get to sew up the accessory. Now there's no modification in that. We're doing one extra sew. This was our extra sew. So we don't do any modifications to the extra sew, but it's not saying that I won't give suggestions, because modification suggestions just come out of me like automatically. If something annoys me, I want to fix it. So there was something that annoyed me, and they did get a fix because it didn't make sense to me in the pattern. But it is a good pattern, needless to say. So we have our cash slots, you have your credit cards, you have nice rounded curves, and this is just a really cute, simple pocket. You could definitely put a cell phone in here. It's nice, and I think it's nice and firm. It's like not, hear me out. Everyone wants to have a stable pocket, a nice stabilized pocket wallet. But the thing is that if you go around to Macy's, if you go to JCPenney's, if you go to like any kind of like Nordstrom's, Neiman Marcus, or anything, there are going to be wallets that are super structured, and there are going to be wallets that are not. Chances are, when you ask your friends, family, aunts, anyone, you're gonna have a wallet like this, a zip around that's super structured, but you might have a family member that has a softer wallet. People that usually tend to see have a softer wallet are people that overstuff their wallets because they do not want to have something super firm. That has something that's super firm that they can't overstuff. There's people that want to put their phones in their wallet generally have a softer wallet too, because all phones can't fit in just one stabilized wallet. So just think of it this way. I know we are always thinking about superstructure. that doesn't fit, one size does not fit all. So I would always have another wallet in your repertoire just for something that is a little bit more softer, a little bit more that's not super structured. That's why I told you one of the things I loved about the Triskel is the strip Triskel is not super flimsy and it's not super stable. The reason why I carry it is that there is some mobility, and when my handbag gets too packed, I know that if I need to like curve it a bit, it will be fine and there'll be nothing that goes wrong with it because it's not super structure. So just keep in mind that structure does not mean the best wallet. You you might have again a Shinova in your life that puts 5 credit cards in one slot. As when you have something that's super structured, this is when you get droopy credit card slots if someone puts too many credit cards in one slot. Um, or throws things in there that doesn't necessarily can fit. So just keep an open mind with that with bag making because there's no one size fits all. It's just something to think about. That's kind of like saying I like only super structured bags, and you're like, that means you will never have like a slouchy bag or a curved bag that's not structured. There's no one size fits all. Just like bags, you can like multiple different structures. Like the slouchy ones, you might like the briefcase style. You should open your horizons when it comes down to wallets as well. Let's see what you got to saying. Let's see. Thank you. Oh, thanks. Thank you, Sandra. Are you speaking of Decaville light replacement? No, there's no if you get this wallet or if you have this, then you know there's no interfacing on here except you use some scraps of your vinyl. There's no interfacing at all in here. Or if you're talking about the the woven interfacing from Wizardly Stitchery, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as replacement of Decaville Light. That's like saying, what can I do to replace foam? There's no such thing. There's no such thing as replacing woven interfacing. You can use things in lieu of it. It's just going to look slightly different. I don't believe that you can change something. There's no such thing as replacing it. Like I like Bouncy Firm, but I don't ever say that it's going to replace foam or it's going to replace Peltex. I just like the way it looks. It looks differently if I made the same bag in Peltex or I made the same bag um in Decaville Light or foam. All 4 bags are going to look differently because um they all have different stabilizers and interfacing. Think of stabilizers and interfacing as underwear. It will make your life a whole lot easier. You cannot replace a corset with a brassiere. They're 2 different things. They're both going to hold you up, but in different places. So they're never going to be the same. But you can get away with having a brassiere instead of a corset. It just you have to have the mindset that it's going to look slightly different. So there are the insides of your bag. They just are going to look slightly different. Just like in our the testing group in Aura Rosa, somebody tried different interfacing per the designer just to see what it looked like. And personally, I like the other stabilizer better. And it looked a little bit more plush, firm, and I feel like it looks like a little bit more protected. It just looks slightly different. There's no replacing it. Once that's like replacing a human, it's like replacing like, hey, I have 70 weight thread. Can I replace the 120? Sure, you can replace it. It's not going to be the same though. One's thicker than the other. So like it's going to look slightly different. You're going to be using slightly more bobbin and the thread's going to look thicker. There's no such thing as replacement. Yeah. This faux snake, I had this I've had this in my stash for years. Okay, so my husband is like redoing my vinyls And so I have this thing where I pack kits. So if I made you like a Captain America bag or whatever, I pack all the vinyl and scraps in there with names. So for some odd reason, this was in the very back. And I was like, oh, I'll use it for the Lucky Penny. And I unwrapped it with my rotary cutters. And even when I was unwrapping it, I was like, this just feels like real like snakeskin. If it didn't have the cotton backing, I would be like, "This is not it." Yeah, you caught me. Whoop whoop. Let's see. Let's see. Decaville Light has a interfacing. I don't think it replaces it. I've worked with it. It's a great interfacing. It's just I don't believe there's anything that replaces one over the other. They're two different things. That's why they have Decaville Light and Decaville Heavy have a patent because their formula is different. It if you hold them side by side, their textures, everything is completely different from the next. They you just I like EB Fuse Heavy. That is my jam. I love it. Sometimes when someone says use Decaville Light, sometimes I use EB Fuse Heavy, but they're completely different interfacing. I just think it's it's like replacing like it's like replacing it's like saying, "I have a headache," and you take Tylenol, and someone says, "Take ibuprofen." They're not the same thing. They're they both can get rid of your headache, but they're not formulated the same thing. They may have different side effects. They're not the same thing, though. So, but finding alternatives is nothing wrong with that, but us trying to replace things, we have to get into, like, different vocabulary and different stances and get into the idea that it's okay not to have the exact stabilizers and stuff like that that in interfaces that they say. Because like for me, like I told you, I straight up love Bouncy Firm. Like I think for me, I use Bouncy Firm in lieu of different things all the time, but I know that it's not going to look the same as the pattern directs you to use if it's saying use Decaville Light. It's not going to look the same, or if it's saying use fleece or foam, it's not going to look the same. It's going to look slightly different, but I'm okay with that. I just think of it as Tylenol and Advil and then aspirin. They're all different. They all do the same thing. They all are going to get rid of your headache or your aching pain, but they're all three are different things. Profuse is amazing. Sometimes Profuse, though, you can get a bad batch, just like I got a bad batch where, it wasn't sticking, but they sent me some and it worked good. I love Profuse. I love it almost as close as EB Fuse Heavy 3, not as much. So, on the glue particles on EB Fuse Hev 3, I don't know what Emmeline does. I don't know what her manufacturer does. That thing, you could look at heat, like, and it'll just fuse to anything. I don't know. It is, like, crazy amount of heat on that thing. And I've when I discovered that, I like whenever I make an inline bag thing, I always order a couple yards of EB Fuse Heavy. I love Profuse. I have it too. When I got it, it is amazing. The glue is really good. I just don't think it is Decaville Light. I think that you can use it in lieu of it, but you have to understand it is nowhere near the same. It's just two different things. It's two different birds. It 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 may feel like it, they're just not the same. They're two different manufacturers. One is patented and one's not. So it's just they're not the same. They don't work the same. And I've made 2 bags from it. Yes, the EB Fuse Heavy, it is very hard to tell which side one because like, you have to be in direct like, if you're in the basement or you're in a dark area, I always tell people like, I always have to write on in a bright light area, this side, like, our arrow, this is the right side, so that way I can iron it because the glue is so slick on that. They're not dots. It is the most slick glue that you've ever seen, and you're constantly going like this to figure out where the shift of glue is. Oh, yeah, when you're in a pinch, it's nice to have backups, but just it's just nice to know. It's just different to have different things. That's why you don't see there are pattern designers that use Profuse all the time, but you don't see them putting it in their pattern to use Profuse. You see them saying using Decaville Light. And then you'll have pattern testers asking, can I use EB Fuse or can I use Profuse? And you have designers like, you can use it, but it might look different. It just, because they're two different birds. They're just, they both fly, but they're just two different birds. So like, it just, you have to be like, there's nothing wrong with using it. I'm for it. I use Profuse in a lot of places instead of Decaville Light, especially if I want to save on money and whatnot. It's just they're slightly different. When you hold them side by side, like Decaville Light has a little bit more structure than Profuse. They're just it's they're just two different things. But Profuse is awesome. Like, and you could use it in lieu of it. And I also have used Profuse in lieu of Decaville Heavy when I do double layering. They're good. There's just, I don't think, personally for me, I just don't think any interface can be another interface. It's like, to me, it's like saying, yeah, red Skittle can be grape. It can't. It just, they're both Skittles. Just they can't be the other one. They're both Skittles. At the end of the day, they both taste good. They are both Skittles, but they just can't be the other color Skittle. That's all I'm saying. It's just, they're both, like the pain medicine theory. They're both pain medicine, but they have different ingredients. They both take away the pain. They just have different ingredients. So you might have different reactions. All that's all I'm saying. There's reasons why like designers like sometimes go back to the basics and say, hey, use Peltex, and you're like, what the Hades? Why are we using Peltex? And there is because they're looking for a desired look that only Peltex can give, and not Decaville Heavy or not any of the other things that are out on the market. It's pretty interesting. Like, especially if I get it if you're like, oh, it's an older pattern, but newer designer, like even new designers are like, yeah, use this. Or like, give you an example, the Adina asks you to use foam in 2 parts of her panels. She asks you to use fusible foam. She's not asking you to use like the Bouncy Firm. She's not asking you to use 2 layers of fleece. She's asking you to use 2 layers of foam. I mean, 1 layer of foam, fusible foam. And there's a reason. It's to achieve that look, this very specific look. So, you know what I mean? No, not to, you don't need to order more Decaville Light. I'm saying that you have to you have what you have, keep what you keep, and then just if you want a desired look, just know that your look might slightly alter. That's all I'm saying. I'm not a big Decaville Light fan at all. So, like, I try to find things in lieu of it all the time, but I know that it may not look exactly like it. I keep a roll of Decaville Light simply for testing, but when I'm not testing, I will use anything but Decaville Light. I'm just not a big fan of it. Because the adhesive process takes a long time. And then when I'm trying to explain to people that you have to allow the glue to cure, that the Decaville Light is the only Decaville and Decaville Light are the only thing I've ever seen that you really have to let it cure. When I taught at Lauren's So Whatever Studio, in the group, I had a live cutout of the Tiny Kata, and not no, for the Mini E, right? The person who designed the Mini E is Alexis from Aura Rosa. She came on there and she kind of confirmed what I'm saying. Like, I felt like I was a crazy lady. Hear me out. I always tell everybody that you need to adhere your Decaville Light or Decaville Heavy and let that bad boy cure overnight. I say this all the time, but I feel like I'm someone that's crazy because it's like everyone's like, no, you don't have to. When Alexis came out on there and was like, yeah, sometimes I stick my pieces in the fridge, I almost fell out. And this is how I know I'm friends with Alexis, minus 2 things she does in her patterns that drive me absolutely nuts. But friends don't have to agree on everything. She said that she sticks in her fridge because the Decaville Light, in order to cure, that your piece has to be fully cooled down. I throw my pieces on the concrete. I have a concrete floor. I throw them on a concrete floor and I walk away. And sometimes I let them cure overnight. If the bonds of the glue do not adhere to whatever you're fusing them to, like vinyl, leather, or whatever, it will pill. It will make it crinkly. It can make your job a living nightmare where you're like, oh, I hate Decovil Light. For that reason and that reason alone, I absolutely hate Decovil Light. Profuse doesn't have to do that. I have used Profuse in places and then made the bag the same day and had no wrinkling. But Decaville Light, I have run into issues like that. And then when I had Alexis, who does not hear me preach about Decaville Light and Decaville Heavy, if it pills off or does this and this and this, she said the same thing. She said, yeah, sometimes I stick mine in the fridge. And I was like, this is why I love you. This is what, and to me, one of the baddest bag makers in the West is Alexis, and another one is Erica from Lavender and Twine. I can name so many bad bag makers that I aspire and I want to be like Amy from Bed Hogs, Nikki, um, Addie. Like, there's so many when I heard somebody else said, no, you have to let it adhere, you need to let it cure, and she sticks pieces in the fridge or the freezer, I almost fell out. And only the people that were in that live heard, like, seen her write that out. And it is a very weird glue. It is a very the glue on Decaville Light is glue like none other. So like I'm really weird with I'm just really weird with stabilizers. And if you have been following me for a while, then you know that I did a whole interfacing thing on Swoon like in 2020 or something. I was a hot mess. But you would hear me, like, I wasn't a fan back then, and I'm weird about interfacing because I made costumes, I made hats and just crazy stuff, and I'm just weird about interfacing. If I actually like sewing interfacing a lot. I like Bianni. I like Bianni, but I also like Basel. I like our foam. There's a lot of foams out there. There is one particular foam that I like a lot, but it's like super expensive. And there are like the sewing machine spots. There's a lot of different kind of foams out there. If you put in sewing foams, you'll be very intrigued about how many different foams there are. I like all kinds of foam. And foams are weird too because there's some foams that are more plush and give you more bounce back than other. But by Annie's foam is pretty, it's pretty cool. And her story behind making it is interesting. Whenever you have an opportunity, just like Google by Annie and listen to her story on how she came up with her foam. And it is the most interesting thing. And I think she also told it in an interview on Swoon. And she does have a fusible foam as well. I have a thing where I'm not a big fan of fusible foam, but it is in Shannon's pattern for the Adina, so I went out and got some, and it worked just fine. I had no wrinkles, no nothing. It's only in like two parts of the bag, like mirroring, but it does make a difference, and you could tell. Honestly, you could tell when people post a bag who uses it and who doesn't. I do prefer sewing because you could but Bianni's is has this weird formula. The more you sew on it, the it squishes down and it's super domestic friendly. I keep foam in the seam allowance if it's Bianni because the more you use it, the more you sew down. And who else uses a lot of foam? If you sew any sew Sweetness, and if you haven't, where have you been? She uses it all the time. And again, Crafty Gemini sews on domestics. She uses it all the time. Like a lot of try and true swoon patterns use all of their patterns use Bianni foam, and they use it all the time. And you sew it on your domestic because Bianni's formula is the more you sew on it, the more it compresses. And she has, if not 100 patterns, she has more. Most people use Bianni, especially that have been pattern designers for 10 years or whatever, because it is a very interesting formula. There's none like it. It's a very great formula. Like, if you sew any Sew Sweetness thing, you're sewing it in the seam allowance. It doesn't, because it doesn't matter. Domestic, industrial, it doesn't matter. Like because it compresses down so much. You just like, oh, okay. Yep. You keep it in the like Marty said, you keep it in the seam allowance and you just trim it down. It doesn't matter. Like it is the most crazy. By Annie foam is like the most craziest stuff you've ever seen because you're like, oh, it's gonna make my seams look crazy. Then you after you turn it, you're like, what the heck? Like I don't know how she came up with it. I mean, I don't know the actual formula, but her story, she has a story behind it. Her story is very interesting. And so you can do zigzag if you want, but I'm telling you, you don't need it. Just look at any of by Annie's videos. She sews on a Bernina, if I'm not mistaken, and it's just a regular domestic. Again, one of the two really prevalent presents in our sewing world is Crafty Gemini and Sarah Lawson, the creator of Sew Sweetness. And Sarah Lawson sews on a straight stitch Juki like 2010, and Crafty Gemini sells on a Juki, like a computerized Juki, and they sew with the foam in there every time, and they never question it. And there you're fine. The foam, the foam, every time you stitch on it, it just compresses down like more, more, and more. Like you have no issues. You do not need a, you don't even need a straight stitch machine for it. The foam just compresses more and more down. Like it is the most interesting material. And there's a lot of people that once they start playing around with foam, they don't look back because it it's a very intriguing material. Yeah, you have a lot of shape. And like who was it? Um oh god, her name is Nancy too. They do a lot they have, unfortunately she passed away a year ago or two. They do a lot of pouches and they're in the quilting industry too. They do a lot of foam too. They're on the top of my head, unfortunately. Let's see. They have like the most interesting pouches than their name. I'm trying to think. It'll come to me. A lot of people that make really cool pouches, they use it. And Sally Tomato uses, when they do bigger bags, they use foam too, and they usually use Biani foam. Yeah, it just squishes. Like, and it just bounces back up. It's crazy. Because the bag, I remember I made a really big a net bag, and I was able to take it and I was able to just crush it, and it just pops back up and bounce. It's like the most craziest thing. And it's really cool because then it's a really cool selling feature to say that your bag is, protected by the foam. But the really cool thing is that if something happens where like luggage jumps onto your thing or a kid or whatever, it's just going to bounce back up in shape. It won't have any permanent creases. It's like a good selling talk point. Like, I don't know. I love foam. Yeah, I think it does. I'm a lover of foam. You will not hear me say anything negative about it. Like I'm a huge fan of it. I have rolls of Biani, and I'm that weird one. I like the Biani black foam. It does nothing different. I think it looks, I can write on chalk better with it on the back. So that's it. Yeah, there you go. There are people that it works in the seams, and there are people that use it. I will use Decoville Light when I'm testing because that's what the designer wants. You don't go into a test doing the opposite of what the designer wants. That makes no sense. You shouldn't be there. So I use the materials that the designer wants and I make the bag. Now then when I make a bag again after the testing period's done and the bag's already out, I'm most likely going to try it with different stuff because that's just who I am. That's in my nature. But during a test, like you are when you're during class, you do what the teacher or the designer wants because that's what you're there for. But I love foam. Like I freaking love foam. Now, if the designer's like, "Hey, can someone try this out with foam?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is where I shine." Because I love foam. I just do. It's just a really good material to work with. Um, you know who else has foam? Decoville. Yeah, it's pretty cool too. I got some. Before all this tariff stuff, I got some from overseas. And it's pretty cool. It's not quite like by Annie's, but I only made 3 bags from it, so I can't give you my full review of it yet, but I was curious. It's more expensive, but I was curious because I was like, well, I've never tried it. I was curious, so I bought some. Yeah, and Decaville, it's gonna get harder to find Decaville light and heavy when there's gonna be more, tariff stuff out here. So, like, the thing is that trying different stuff, like, it's always fun. Like, it may be a hit, might be a miss, but finding other things in lieu of things might be a good thing. It's nothing there's nothing wrong with trying, but you have to be open to it may look slightly different. But slightly different might be okay because I told you the thing about, selling is that what makes your bag different. That might be the thing that makes your bag different. It might be a little bit more have more shape, or it might be a little bit more crisp. It might just something a little bit different. So, yeah, that's all I have for you. I have to try to figure out what I'm gonna make today because I have to cut out a date night Dina, and I did not take out any materials. And I've been looking at my wall of vinyl, and I have zero clue, like no clue whatsoever. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it takes me like an hour to figure out fabrics. I will just look at fabrics because the date night Dina is one cut for the body, so it has to be a non-toss print. It has to be a print that like when it folds up, like it has to be something like this. It has to be a non-toss print because when it folds up, it's one body piece like this. So when it folds up, the directional has to be here and then it has to be here. So I have to figure out, am I going to go with a solid or if I'm going to go for a print? So yeah. All right, guys. Tomorrow's sleep in Saturday, so I'll see you on Sunday. I hope you guys have a really great weekend and happy stitching.